Hello everyone, welcome to a new tournament series. We're going to be looking at the tournament Paris 1900. This was a tournament held in Paris in the year 1900 in which Emanuel Lasker won, as he seemed to win every tournament. There was a lot of good players in this tournament. Some of the top guys in the world like Pillsbury, Marshall, Maroczy, Chigorin. Janowski is also pretty strong. But one strange rule in this tournament was that if you drew, you actually replayed the game and played again. So that happened in only one case. So you replay the game, played again, and if it's a draw twice in a row, then it is a draw. But if you win or lose, then, you get the actual result. So kind of an interesting little rule. But we're going to take a look at this game. Lasker's playing the guy who actually finished in last place in the tournament, so not the toughest opponent in the world. And Lasker makes a pretty brave move here, knight to e5. Why is it brave? Well, brave's a strong word, but the point is after knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes. Now, black might want to play knight takes d5 here, uncovering with the bishop on the queen. What do you think black could play then? You feel free to pause your video and figure it out. Yeah, black, as far as I can tell, could try the move queen takes d5. And now, after bishop takes knight, queen g2 is mate. However, after bishop takes h7, knight takes h7, rook takes queen, bishop takes rook. And yes, white has won the queen, but black has a rook, a bishop, and a knight for the queen, which actually is worth a lot more. And therefore, black is doing very well here, in my opinion. Sometimes the queen can be tricky, but I think in this case, the queen is not quite enough for the material. So after pawn takes, queen takes, Lasker played the move bishop to b5. And the idea of this move is, number one, we attack the rook, and number two, we open this rook onto d5, so we are now threatening knight takes d5. So my question to you, what move would you play after bishop to b5? This is exceptionally hard, but pause your video, try to figure it out. All right, I am going to show you now a very interesting idea. In the game, black played rook e to d8, which looks very logical. However, with the help of computers, and the computers nowadays are very strong, they're actually good at sacrificing material. They have a good feel for material. And after the move bishop to g6, g3, the computer actually suggests the simple move queen to e6, not worrying about the exchange. And after bishop takes, rook takes, the computers think black is better here. I can even prove it by turning it on right now. And as you see, a clear advantage for black, 0.35. Why is that? White has a pawn, has an exchange, and black has just a pawn for it. What is the problem here? The problem is this bishop and these light squares, combined with the ideas like d4 and queen h3 and queen g2 mate, or queen h3 and knight g4. These attacking ideas are just an absolute nightmare for white to deal with. So seeing a game like this, I mean, seeing an exchange sack like this is always very interesting because there's nothing clear cut. It just looks like a totally normal position where white is up the exchange. And it takes a real strong player to understand that this position is actually comfortable for black. And I would suspect most masters would not even understand that at a glance, and they would just move the rook away. But if you can see, the more positions like this you see, the better understanding you have for material imbalance. And of course, white is not losing or anything like that. Just the point is black has a lot of really strong attacking ideas. d4 immediately is an idea because the pawn is pinned on e3. And long term, this bishop is a nightmare. Whenever your king's fianchettoed and you don't have a bishop to defend that king, and the opponent has a bishop that can kind of eye all those squares, you gotta watch out. In the game, this didn't happen. In the game, black played the very standard move, rook to d8, and now Lasker played knight d5, and then he took the bishop. And now what you got to see was a very nice example of technique involving two bishops against a bishop and knight. In an open position like this, with not that many pawns on the board, the two bishops are very strong. And Lasker won this game with, I mean, he's better, but it's nothing like mind-blowing. You know, the Houdini says point 0.3 for white. But he wins this game with absolute ease. Just calmly moves his bishop back. No big rush to do anything. Queen g4, threatening mate. Bishop back to c4. Now the knight moves away. The queen takes on g6. So king h7 is played. Queen f3, pinning the knight to the f7 pawn. If the knight moves, we can capture that pawn on f7. Knight c3 was played. And Lasker does something good here. He doesn't get greedy and try to take on f7, at which point black would take on a2 afterwards. He just plays queen to f4. And now if knight a2, I don't know, probably bishop f7, and the attack is unbelievably strong. So he just went back to d5. Now we're threatening mate on h8. He stops it. e4 is a strong move. The knight has to be careful. If the knight moves, queen g8 is mate. So he plays this move instead, just to demonstrate. Checkmate. And now after this, bishop a6, black resigned. So first I wanted to show you this position because it's really beautiful exchange sacrifice. It's not easy to evaluate that, and it's just like I like seeing exchange sacrifices like that. I like how good computers are nowadays at evaluating stuff like that. And number two, I just wanted to show you how strong two bishops can be in an open position against a bishop and a knight. They just rake the board. They rake all the squares. This bishop only rakes half the squares, and the knight only rakes the squares near the wherever he is. But the bishops, man, they're killers in positions like this, especially with two pawns traded off. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. I hope you're going to enjoy this tournament, and I will see you tomorrow with another game from it. Bye-bye.